So, Shubs, nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you again as well, Alex. Thank you for having me.
So, you prepared the presentation for today's episode, right?
Absolutely. So this time I have prepared a presentation and I'll run through a system that I've been working on myself, and I've been helping others to set this up as well. But it's super helpful.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing hearing from you about this AI-powered agency intelligence system.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, shall I get into it?
Yeah, please. Nice font, nice style graphic, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I used Gamma for this. It's a really good software. And where it would take me ages to actually get the visuals, the small elements. I mean, I focus on the information. But yeah, this is really good. So, let me just quickly give you an intro into what I'll be speaking about. So this is an agency system. This allows me. So I've been using this in my agency as I've been growing. And I've seen immense value from this, and this is basically the starting point for me to capture any leads, any information, and then be able to track and analyze that information as I've been growing. So it's become basically my backbone, to be honest, where every time I speak to a client, I have the system jump into my meetings and it's able to record it, and then I can track all that information rather than being able to write everything down, consolidate it through my memory, and then follow through with it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting to know exactly what steps do you use and what systems do you
Do I
do you
put
use.
together? Absolutely. If you go to the next slide.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay. So this is
yeah,
reassurance from my side.
absolutely. So one thing about I've spoken to countless agency owners, and I've been in this situation as well. A lot of agency owners tend to have a lot of calls. And one thing about agency is the agency is defined by the leads you have, the clients you have, and of course, to be able to have the leads and the clients and close them and actually do a really good job, it's important to actually get the information right. So it's important to be able to build good proposals and be able to understand the problem. But if you're spending a lot of time on data capture and then taking notes manually, it becomes very difficult, and you have to spend a lot of time consolidating that information, and it becomes harder to actually deal with more volume of clients, and then different types of clients, because it's not always leads you're speaking to. It could be problem aware but unaware people that you're speaking to. So you want to be able to segment them. So this is what the system does. So as I said, like the agency owner reality is that a lot of leads tend to go cold if you've not reached out to them. A lot of critical information can easily fall through the cracks because you're taking information manually. And this is how I'm defining my system. Again, the information in itself is not ephemeral. It's quite valuable, but how you capture it is quite important. So if you go to the next slide, so the foundation of this whole system, where it starts from, is Fireflies. So just like how now in the digital age, everyone jumps on a call, on a Zoom call, on a Google Meet call. That's what I'm doing right now. Even phone calls as well. I'm using Fireflies, but this could be used with other note takers as well that have the ability to transcribe your meetings. So what Fireflies does, it listens into the conversation, and it is able to transcribe that conversation. By the end of it, it gives me a summary of that information. It gives me metrics around how many people I've spoken to. But one thing I always rely on is that the information is always complete, all the details. Another problem could be that when it comes to speaking to someone and understanding their pain points, my interpretation of the problem could vary from the person I'm speaking to, because it's just human nature. It's where we call Chinese whispers, isn't it? One person tells another person, the other person tells, the information changes. But Fireflies always keeps the absolute information right there because it transcribes it and then summarizes it. So this system's built a lot of visibility around my own interactions. So if you go to the next slide, so this is where I have been. This Fireflies alone was amazing, but where I've turbocharged it, and this has become my sales analyst or a business development assistant as I'm doing my meetings. I'm able to focus on the lead generation part and get more clients to speak to, more prospects to speak to. And then I connect my Fireflies using something called an MCP server, a little bit technical. I use Claude. So for those who don't know what Claude is, it's a similar to ChatGPT, but it's a Claude desktop version. So it's a different service. I have it running on my desktop side. And there's a new protocol. So now, as we have AI models become more prolific and a lot more people are using these AI models, we need to basically build a better protocol to speak to these AI models. And that's where MCP servers come in. A little bit of the technical side, get that out of the way. So what does my MCP and Claude server do? It's able to connect into Fireflies. It's able to connect into my Google Calendar and my Gmail, and it's able to pull the context of various conversations and various appointments and communication from these different services. And then it can also connect into my CRM system, which is at your CRM system. So this is where intelligence comes in. So you can have a one-to-one conversations, but once you have the full context of all the people you're speaking to, you're able to now analyze across the board the types of customers you're speaking to, the types of conversations, how well they went. You can start building some metrics, something very similar to what a sales team would do. They'll have the conversations and they'll figure out the cadence, and then they'll map out how well those conversations were. So as I said, like volumes creates intelligence, larger conversation volumes allow richer insights, better segmentation of conversation types, and then brilliant for understanding prospects and creating authentic content material. Jump into the content side in a minute. So this has resulted me for the AI becomes an incredible market research partner as well. So so one thing to just mention here is, the largest companies that are growing really, really fast, they are focusing on the market signals. They're not building something in isolation and putting it out there, see what works. They are first going to the clients or prospects and seeing what the market says, and then they are building. If it's a SaaS product, even if it's building AI automation services, this has become my analysis, and I'm able to do market research. I'm able to see, where are my customers living. So if you go into the next slide, so next part. So as I said, from a sales performance point, if you were to take and track these metrics yourself, it would be very chaotic. But this allows me as a one man single agency to measure my cadence without having anything fall through the cracks. So the solo challenge would be to entering sales solo. Solo means tracking countless details, and then that could break performance. And also, one thing I've realized is working with clients and potential prospects is speed and accuracy is very important. If you're spending a lot of time on measuring your just tracking your notes, it's harder to actually get to your prospects faster. And then also, if you miss some critical piece of information, the accuracy part, that lead will go cold because that credibility is not there. So this system allows me to measure my credibility and be that one man person that can say, right, I understand what we spoke about, and I can present it really well. Now, there's 4 things that I use this system to measure. So it's not just a technical system. How do I measure it? I build some KPIs. This system I borrowed from someone called Daniel Priestley. He's an amazing, he's on YouTube as well. So he talks about leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. So as I build my funnel, I get more leads. I work on, meeting people, creating some content, as those leads come in, I'm able to qualify them. I'm able to understand, okay, who is more problem aware, who is problem unaware, and then who do I need to provide more information around AI automation, understand their problem, and get on that same level. And that is measured by appointment. So once I get the leads, I ensure that I book an appointment, which is a metric and it's a conversion rate. So if you've got 100 leads, out of those, you'll probably have 50 to 60% appointments booked. Once those appointments are booked, I am able to map out those pain points, understand who the client is, and accordingly, being very informed, I'm able to build a presentation or a proposal for their specific pain points, which I can then measure through my system. And then finally, if my presentation resonates, I'm able to map those pain points really well. I can then close the sale. And I've been doing this for some time now. So this system has massively yielded me results because, as I said, I'm not tracking this, but equally, Claude just gives me a weekly cadence. Okay, you've had this many meetings, this many of those, because I can look at my calendar. This is how many appointments you've booked. And from that, okay, this is how many presentations, and that it has the context. This is the new world of AI, which before you'd have to do a lot of this stuff yourself and consolidation. But now, because these metrics are there, I'm using the power of AI, but within the sales cycle, and then I'm able to close the sales. But because it's a flywheel effect, more leads come in, the better qualification process becomes, the more appointments, the more even the presentations become better, and then you can convert better sales. But the system analyzes it to the T, where I can see, okay, why is it that I couldn't close a sale? Is it because of the presentation, or was it enough information I didn't give through the appointment? So yeah, that is the lapse. So if you go into the next one, so any questions from you, Alex, at this point? I would love to.
It's the system of tracking all these conversations during the week, and you said that you are how to say you said that you are a vis of what communication vis, or you are tracking vis, right? You are tracking vis. You said
yes, I'm tracking all my communications.
Yeah, so that you are so you mentioned the word vis, like wizard, right? Did I get right or not?
Oh, the visit, like
So you are expert in tracking, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. So I'm not even the expert in tracking. I'm the expert in making sure that the information is flowing through the system, and by the end of it, I can look back and say, right, what others? How can I improve my sales process even better without having to have a second person do all this? So this is all done by Fireflies.
Yeah, I think that I have a lot of things to learn from you as with this number of meetings and communications. Like today, I told you today I had like nine meetings per day, and one of them I see that was cancelled for the next 10 minutes. So I have a little more room to speak to it with you. So I think that is a wise idea to use MCP server and to use context and to feed your leads so that they don't get cold. So for me, it's always a juggle of leads, of contacts, and I have a lot of like even those in old style conversations. I put the names and different projects so that I keep them in my site. But your system is certainly, and your presentation is certainly very helpful once we get used to it. So I think that one of the next things should be like how to implement it on the
Absolutely.
simpler version of it so that we can get used to it.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I've been there as well. And I would track this down on a piece of paper. But the thing is, when it comes to consolidation, our human brain is not wired to take in an influx of information alongside our life, our work life, our family life, our personal life. So if I can just wake up in the morning on a Monday and then look and just ask Claude, okay, give me a weekly review of my last week. It will give me the cadence. It will give me how many, as you mentioned, you had to cancel some of the meetings, but you can, in a way, you can start using the system to allocate time more effectively towards your calendar because you can say, right, these days I'm having, on a Wednesday, for example, we're doing a podcast, we're talking, we're having an interview. So you can start allocating time towards that. And you can start measuring the quality of conversations you're having. Sometimes, for a lot of sales companies, they might have, as I said, initially, there's problem aware customers, there's problem unaware customers. It's the system is measuring, and you can start building a template around this to understand what's the percentage of customers that I had to provide more information to about AI, and then how many people were already warm, in a way that you can actually start putting out content to say, right, I need more information. I had this many objections in last week. So how do I address those? So this system in itself, actually set it up right, it can yield a lot of results, because it's just analyzing. It's once it's set up, it's there. It's never going to go away, which is the powerful thing about this.
Yeah, that's a very promising system. And could you explain what they mean by all this the mail ATO CRM? I don't know about
Yeah.
ATO CRM, and I know
Oh,
about
yeah.
Fireflies. Actually, I I have Fireflies, but I don't use it often. So maybe I can start using it more diligently starting from now.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've spoken to a lot of agency owners, a lot of business owners, and it's always my Fireflies jumps on. I don't see a lot of times people having their Fireflies join or any other note taker, but just it's probably the highest ROI task. You can, I mean, in the world of shiny, new AI tools coming out, new shiny apps, even a CRM is not needed at this time, to be fair, because CRMs are super expensive. I'm using Attio CRM, but being honest, I'm not using the CRM to the best of its ability. It is still tracking the frequency of conversations, the quality of conversation, like through email. But Fireflies, because it captures the context through transcripts, it only costs about £10 a month, and you're able to get a lot more information out of it, which is brilliant. And it's always stored your crucial your conversations, your authentic conversations, your own voice, the voice of the client as well. So this is pretty much just my tech stack. So Gmail is where I get my client emails from. Fireflies is where I track all that information. Then calendar, where my appointments go. And Attio is my CRM system, where I can manage what deals I'm tracking, how I'm tracking them. But MCP Claude at the desktop is what is pulling from all these systems, and it's able to build that context for me, which is becoming my assistant. So that's obviously because we've got these MCP servers now more readily available. We can use Claude to the best of its ability to pull data without having to build these custom automations. So I'll also give you some context about MCP, and the difference between MCP and a simple automation is an MCP server has a larger context window, so it has more context, and MCP is like an agent of its own. So every service has this support for MCP servers now. It's a protocol, but rather than telling the system through an automation like an NAN build to say, you go into Gmail, you take that information, you go into Fireflies, you take that information, you put into Attio. It's not a sequential, it's not a step-by-step. MCP has its own way of deciding based on the question you've asked it, based on the task you've given it, it will decide where to pull that information from automatically, which takes away that headache from you, and then it pulls that information. On the contrary, though, there are pros, that's the pros, but the cons are, for a lot of larger teams, you want to make sure that MCP is not just hallucinating, it's not polluting the context of different systems. So when it comes to building systems like this, it's important to be very mindful of how you're allowing information to come from one system and go into another, so that you can build more clean reports. Something for us to talk next, obviously, for our next podcast. But yeah, that for now. So this is an integration provides comprehensive tracking, allows me to build presentations, allows me to do objection handling as well. One important thing about objections I've learned from, just going through my own cadence of speaking to people and prospects. But Alex Hormozi says this, that every objection or every rejection or every no that you get is actually an opportunity to use that towards finding a solution, so that the next time someone asks you for that same objection or that same rejection, you have a solution for them. Because initially you don't know what you don't know. But if you get a rejection, that's a question, and that turns into your solution. And this allows me to close deals. So yeah, this is a brilliant system. If you go into the next one. So alongside my sales cycle, I mean, for me, this started from, me making sure that I track all the information and I'm not having to use my head for the context generation, for any context and keeping that. But I've started using my Fireflies as, the basis of building websites using Lovable, for example. One thing is, my interpretation of a system might be different from your interpretation of a system. So when we jump on a meeting, we're always making sure that the information that we shared amongst ourselves and the completeness of information is always retained. And then when we build a system, the requirements are a very important part. So we, as a software developer, we use requirement mapping and we build user stories to ensure that the features are built and then there's no scope creep, which means that we're not trying to build a plane. Someone says, build a plane for me, and I've gone and built a boat for you, a massive ship. I know that I need to build a passenger plane for you, which holds 300 people, and it needs to be as big as, a Boeing 387. I might have got the 787, I think, whatever the number is. I'm not building you a Dreamliner or a Titanic. That's the essence of what I'm saying. So the information is one-to-one. It's always important that it's there, the user requirements, custom builds. But additional thing is, this becomes my content. I can generate contracts from this as well. So I can take the information, and the information like the numbers, the team size of a company, how much they're spending on the current builds, everything is there. I don't need to remember this. It's part of my knowledge bank. So yeah. So, and also this builds an authentic voice. But I can also generate content from this as well. So there's endless use cases from this. Even when I build content, a lot of times initially I wasn't sure, okay, if I use AI, for example, for my content generation, am I still being authentic? But because I have all this context in my Fireflies and I'm having really good conversations with my clients and prospects, yourself as well. There's a conversation, Alex, you're part of my Fireflies too, right? So I can see what we spoke about in our last meetings. So yeah, that becomes content. And any questions for now?
So about the possibilities of no, Chris Voss in his book Never Split the Difference tells about the negotiations techniques, and he says that it's often yes, oftentimes you get more advantage from people saying no than saying yes, because yes has a lot of degrees of vagueness, and not opaqueness, because people tend to say yes when they don't want to hear you anymore, or they say yes because yes, and in the future, or yes, does go out of me. I don't want to speak with you anymore. And so he tells about the story when he spoke about. He worked as a volunteer with the people who want to commit suicide, and he talked to this person, and at the end, this person said, "Yes, you are so nice." And Chris came to his boss, and his boss said it was very bad conversation. It was like one of the worst conversations, because you talked about yourself, about your solution, and you prompted this person to say yes. But when you tell about something and you make questions, and this person says no, then you have opportunity to fight it, your opportunity to come up with better solution, and like you said, with Alex Haramozy, it's about the same. And yes, contract generation, custom builds, and user requirements. So with all these nodes, it's much easier to come up with better solutions, with better communication, and it will certainly yield results that are better in quality, and it will not. So you will not lose time, valuable time, to make back and forth ping pong communication messages, which is needed for the contract generation or custom build. So that's a smart system and helps you to remove a lot of stumbling blocks, as far as I see.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of times as we go, when it comes to the context side of things, if we've had so many conversations, it's, as I mentioned, I've been banging on about it, but it's hard for a human brain to keep the context and the details of that conversation. And it's easy for our brains to actually, convolute the pieces of information from person A to person B. But in this way, my conversation always actually stays authentic, because I can just go to Fireflies and say, right, 3 months ago, we spoke about this, right? These are the details that we agreed upon. Or if I need to be more personable to someone, I can actually look up on my Fireflies or my meeting notes and say, right, what is it that, it's making, actually, I realized that AI has enabled me to be more human, rather than me trying to be this machine that is just always taking notes. And I think we've always done that, but I'm having more fruitful conversations, which is just, this is the best thing that has, it's a really good time for us to actually be talking about this as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if there's another slide on this. I think there's one more slide after this. I think I probably already touched on this. So yeah, I guess this is more about tightening the system. Just making sure that how my next integrations or potential possible integrations into the system, you can actually start powering this and integrating the system into your CRM, and then you can always have the conversations in one place. So yeah, that is pretty much the crux of this. Yeah, as I said, like, every bottom line is every conversation is saved, interaction, every client call is saved, and then your conversations are happening anyway. You're already having those conversations, but the meetings are already booked, and then you're always capturing that intelligence.
yeah, so here you made a picture, and I don't know what it
That's
means.
it.
That's me.
Oh, amazing. That's a really nice one. That's amazing. This is it. This is what makes us human.
He said that it is not me, but some human. It is some human.
Oh, wow.
I don't know who is this, but it's some human.
It looks like a person who is trying to take a lot of notes and very scared. That's chaotic state. Maybe he was listening into our conversation.
Yeah. So that's other kind of animation to our podcast.
Absolutely. That's great.
So yeah, that's cool. The system. So the next step, if you want to implement it, so I have Fireflies. I don't know. I don't have a paid one. So do I need to have a paid one?
So you can have a free one to start off with. The only thing is that you don't get enough storage on it. It doesn't come with, so it comes with like 800 minutes, and then there's a few other things that you want to be able to use from Fireflies, like the analytics side of things. And then you cannot record videos, whereas on the paid version you can record videos and stuff like that. So end of the day, I think this is a really good system. I would say I can help you set this up on your side, and I think you'll be off to the races.
Yeah, that I think that will be helpful, and we can arrange it shortly, so we can continue, and I will share my experience about it.
Absolutely. And then for the next one, when we are setting this up for you, we can just turn this into a podcast, and we can do a live demo for everyone.
Yeah, Shubs. So thank you. So that was, as always, I think that you have a deep thinking type of personality. So you're open. You want to make your impact using all of your knowledge, your experience, in different fields, and also you're open to share this information freely. And I see that you have a great minds working together with you in your BNI community, in your AI agency owners networking events in London. So I see this, and I'm excited to see it. And sometime in the future I want to join your offline events.
Absolutely, I would love to have you. Like, I think, just to back at you as well, you're doing great. Like, I love having these conversations, and you bring the best out of me. I would say that's the best way to put it.
Thank you, Shubs.